Live?
Yeah, I just have to mute it on my end.
Awesome.
So
And I think also if I do something on screen share, you'll have to watch it on the stream as well, because when I go to share the desktop,
yeah,
it takes it away. So keep that in mind.
sure.
So
I'm gonna
key frame
post this in the
frequency.
family Facebook group and see if
Sure,
people join.
sure. Go for it. What's up, guys? If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm Rich, I'm richaniche.com. Your favorite full stack marketer. Join with me today is Zach Hing, another fellow YouTuber. Zach, why don't you introduce yourself for people who don't know you as well as me? Tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure thing. So, I mean, it's if some of you by God's, miraculous found yourselves here from my channel, then my hat's off to you because this is probably an odd spot to find me. I'm actually a YouTuber. If you look up my name, it's all political oriented type stuff. But what I actually do is I help individuals like Rich out, and I'm in more of the high ticket sales space. So I do a lot of like high ticket sales. I dabble in Facebook ad and funnel and digital marketing related type stuff. But other than that, yeah, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a content creator. I do a lot of basically online sales, and I help people scale their whatever kind of online offers or products that they may have. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Thanks, buddy. So, I brought Zach on today because I thought he might add a lot to the conversation. He's working with me in some sales funnel development. Really appreciate his knowledge there because, as a digital marketer, content creator, I don't do a lot of the sales. I do more of the inbound marketing, the attraction, the lead generation. So it's really nice as a digital marketer to pair up with people who are in sales, and I've absolutely paired up with as many as I can just to get their knowledge. Because the fact is, like, you have to understand how to actually finish off the lead generation and the conversion. You have to understand like what are salespeople looking for, how can you position your brand, how can you position your messaging, so that when it comes to the close, it's more about finding if it's a right fit. You're already 90% way there. It's only that last 10%. Sometimes it takes people that little bit of extra emotional motivation. And I think having, high ticket closers, salespeople that are experts in understanding people's behavior, their mindsets, and actually personal development is a big part of understanding sales, because you're always helping people reach their goals. You're helping them invest in their future. And I think that that is something that's far different than digital marketing, but
Mhm.
absolutely equally as critical. What's up, Alex Y in the chat? Welcome. What did you think about that, Zach, as far as a perspective on closing from a marketer's perspective?
I think when a marketer is already a little bit more aware of what a closer is looking for, and has been very familiar with how that sales process works, it ultimately also allows that the marketer to put themselves in the shoes of whoever they are marketing to, or whatever customer consumer that is looking in their products. I say that because oftentimes it's such a symbiotic relationship, right, between marketer and salesperson and consumer, because all of the parts have to work. And understanding that and knowing that, not only makes my job a lot easier, but it also informs with people who are even interested in your services. And it's very, very difficult to get past that last hurdle of getting folks to like actually make a purchase when you don't really understand like if this is something that is imperative that they need right now, or that it's something that is worth solving at this moment, without having that perspective from the salesperson. Because there's so many ingenious marketers, really people that are very, very talented and know how to build funnels and everything, but they can't really sell, right? And they have difficulty identifying who the right people are and getting that dialed in. So yeah, I mean, it's helpful to know that perspective, and working with salespeople constantly, I think, only complements that process. Um, well, I think from my perspective, all leads are good leads. You know, I've gotten to this point now where it's like if your sales process doesn't change and you're always using the same things to discover pain, discover desire, and really find out what their goals are, get them emotionally invested, whether they're a warm lead or a hot lead or whatnot, is not a big deal. And why do I say this? Well, I say this because like whether they come from a webinar and they've been indoctrinated and well informed, or they've spent $5 to $7 with you or whatnot, and they've got some product, really it's still going to come down to the same things, right? Is it imperative that they make decisions now, right? Is it important enough to them that they reach their goals in, in this time fashion? And sometimes too often, we get caught up in the whole like, well, this is a better lead, so I would prefer hotter leads. It's funny because myself and some other salespeople talk about this. We actually prefer people who may not be the necessarily ideal what we call a laydown in the industry, which is like, oh, they've got the money and they're ready to buy. Now, why do I say that? Because just because somebody has $20,000 in the bank and they've seen your webinar and they're informed doesn't necessarily mean they're in a position to buy. And I feel like, as a matter of fact, you may be fighting an uphill battle with that, as opposed to somebody who has the hunger, for their goals and is willing to go out and get the money and then actually make a purchase. Because the people that have money, right, in my experience, whether they're qualified buyers or not, uh, it's like you either don't have to do it right now, or it's not painful, and you get pitched all the time. You're shopping around. At least that's what it is from my experience. Like the people who have high net worths who don't seem to have very, very painful problems that need resolving right now are the hardest to bring on board, because there's no real need to come on board, not at all, but no real need to come on board now. And that's a
Hmm.
critical thing in sales, in that chances are, if they're in your funnel and they're in your webinar, everybody's a qualified buyer. It's just, as a closer, I found is like, how do I create urgency and get out of, say, 10 people who will make a decision right now and pay for it right now? Because that really is the game, right? All these people will buy hopefully at some point. When, it sounds like a good idea now, that kind of stuff, yada yada yada. But until you qualify them hard enough where they're willing to actually pull out their cards and make a purchase with you, you create that urgency. um that's really what we look for. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but a warm lead, a hot lead, and all that, well, honestly, they don't matter. It's, what are we finding out about this person, and is solving their problem something they're willing to move forward with today, right now, within the hour? That's the more important thing. In fact, I prefer that. I prefer people who have more urgency necessarily than people who are qualified, or people who have money, or people who have been a fan of Rich for 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm,
stuff is irrelevant to me. What's most important is, can you do it now?
mm-hmm. When you qualify people and sort of join the conversation with them on a closing call, do you ever ask them like where they came from, in a sense of like YouTube, Facebook? Is that ever part of the question process?
100%. One of my questions, actually, and I'm glad you asked that, because then it allows me to elaborate on the process a bit here, is I'll always ask, so yeah, you filled in an application, right? I take it, I always do this presumptuous, like, I take it you had an opportunity to go through the breakdown videos, the testimonials, and the case studies. And whenever I ask that sort of three-pronged, you had an opportunity to absorb some of our content, get indoctrinated for a second, they immediately will go, yeah, I watched the breakdown video. I actually found it on a YouTube ad, found it on the Facebook ad. But one thing I have to say, Rich, is I have to be very, very careful, because historically, YouTube ads usually lead to lower quality leads. But like I said, all leads are good leads, so you can never be prejudicial when you go into calls. But yeah, whenever I ask that, right, the traffic source is an important data point, not really for any reason, but it kind of just tells us like who has been kind of seeing it for a while and where they're hanging out, right, to get their content. Older folks tend to be more on Facebook, weirdly enough. So it's like, if you get 45 and up, they saw a Facebook ad, they went through it. and just strictly from my experience, they tend to be more qualified buyers. But yeah, that's always an important thing to ask, just to kind of see, oh, where's the traffic source this week? Because my client tends to shift a lot and makes a lot of changes, and sometimes simple changes in traffic sources have a huge impact on lead quality.
So have you seen any difference between YouTube and Facebook? Do you have any sort of sense about which brings more buyers?
I will say 100% of the time, YouTube may generate more leads
Mm-hmm.
because they also have a YouTube presence. I
Mm-hmm.
can't really name my client, but
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, in my experience, brings more qualified buyers
Mm-hmm.
and people who have kind of been looking into it for a while. Like there were not some 17-year-old kid who said, make money, $10,000 in a month, right? Let's click on it and go through with it. It's kind of like you had a chance to let it sit for a while. And if you saw it on Facebook, it wasn't the first time you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You probably had seen their faces several times. You might have been within the scope or the sort of the awareness funnel for a good few months
Mm-hmm.
before you even decided to go click on that learn more button or fill out an
One
application.
of the reasons I think Facebook is simply stronger is because you can retarget it at lower points in the funnel, whereas YouTube, it's a lot more harder to control when they are seeing your content. I think, like, from my experience, it's the retargeting on Facebook that gets the person who's like already been to the shopping cart or already seen the application page, and like that's just so much further along than someone who's just like gathering information still. And I'm sure there's lots of people who want to sign up who are merely gathering information. That's it. So that's what I would say is why that reason is. But I think you're also right about the older audience being more capable to purchase or whatnot. So that's probably part of it as well. Yo, Kevin in the chat, buddy, why don't you come on to the Zoom call? You are part of the Rich and Niche Collective. You should jump in the Zoom call. It's in the Facebook group. I will talk a little bit about what I want to do with the collective right now, put it on record. I need to create a place where I can be accessible to people who need questions answered. There's just so many questions going on my YouTube channel that I feel that I can't do it justice with just a YouTube comment. And I also don't necessarily want to produce a video just for that. So having a weekly opportunity to chat is just something I really like. And that's kind of what I'm going for. And I also want to create a community of people who want to talk about marketing, who want to talk about content strategy, who want to talk about how to be a freelancer, how to be remote. There aren't a lot of places where you can come and someone will facilitate a conversation about these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's the kind of area I'm trying to fill. And I just think it's very important to develop community management skills. And I think I've really lacked in that. I'm pretty good on campaign execution, but as far as consistency goes, like I really need to build that back into my life. And so gives me kind of a test, a challenge to show up every week. I did that for 12 weeks earlier this year, but I need to get back on and try and go 50 weeks a year, maybe 45. And I think it's important. I think that as we get into the digital era, managing a community is very potent, and I've seen a lot of people have great success with it. No worries, Kevin says he's in a very loud place. We'll get you on next week, bro. We're going to be running these calls Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific. If anyone's in the chat, if you have a question about digital marketing, if you have a question about any of those topics I just mentioned, drop it in. I will answer it. I'm going to be going for 75 minutes total, probably till about 7:30 Pacific, unless something pops off, unless for some reason I need to stay longer, or even perhaps shorten it for whatever reason. What I want to do now is just test the stream out a little bit and come on over here into my whiteboarding software. And I just want to do a really simple, sort of brainstorming exercise. It's not too challenging, but first what I want to do is talk about, and if you're, Zach, you may have to watch it on the stream now. I'm not too sure, which might be annoying. Or can you see it? Can you see the shared screen right now? I know you can't, right?
Mm-mm.
And
No.
yeah, I don't think I would be able to. Let's see if I share
You could
this.
probably do, yeah, a Zoom screen share. And yes, that actually,
You have it now,
I have it now,
and
but
it's
I
on
know
the
what I'm
screen,
seeing in the stream is also about
delayed. Yeah,
15 to 20 seconds behind.
yeah,
But yeah, this looks
great,
great.
awesome. So you got to formulate it. Do that, Alex. You formulate your question. I'll get to it in a bit. So I just want to propose like a really logical understanding of the current state of digital marketing. And it really just begins like for this with me. And this is really how my career started. If search exists, then, algorithms exist. And that's really sort of where it starts. Because as soon as you realize an algorithm is in play, you then realize that there's optimization. And so we can start another one here. If algos exist, then, opportunity to optimize arrives. And that's really where, as digital marketers and content marketers, we need to think about where do our opportunities come from, and what are the low-hanging fruits potentially, what are the consistent actions we can take to continually grow our business. I really like to think of brand building as something that can be systematic. I would love to get a video of us on the screen. How about if I do that? Does that bring us up? Yeah, I think that brings us up. I'm just going to go with the solo screen for now up here.
You should
Okay.
be able to.
Yeah, I think I got it over here. Okay. So, and by the way, this software is called Miro. If you don't have it, it's basically unlimited whiteboarding space, and there's a lot of functions over here that I'm going to demonstrate over time. So if search exists, algorithms exist. I think we've seen that, right? Google search, YouTube. These are the world's biggest search engines. Pinterest. These ones have been some of the most key platforms for huge businesses to be created. Amazon created through Google search. So many people created powerful platforms through YouTube simply through niche-based search optimization. Quick question in the chat. At what stage do you feel someone should launch a high-ticket program? Should they have an existing audience, or should they start brand new? There's nothing wrong with having a high-ticket program from the get, but you have to understand that until you build a brand, your resistance to buy is high. We can always think about it as a teeter-totter, right? And the more expensive something is, the more heavy you're going to need to put things on to make people tip into the buy mode, right? It's always like it's either 0 or 1 very often. They make that decision, they want to buy, and obviously if you're going to charge $3, $4, $5, $20,000, there's going to be a lot of resistance unless the value is so clear, right? Because sometimes I'll pitch something to a client for $2,000 a month and that seems like nothing. And you're like regretting and like, damn, why didn't I ask for 4,000? And that's something as well. You always want to kind of have that negotiation. If anyone ever takes your offer like that, you priced it too low. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to launch, get some feedback, see how it goes? What's it hurting? Because no one knows how many sales you're getting, right? So I don't think it's too bad to start, and I think it's good to get feedback on your offers. How am I running this? I've got my Zoom window in the middle. It takes 3 monitors, by the way. I've got Zoom in the middle, and I've got on the left side, I've got a desktop, and I've got OBS capturing those 2 monitors on separate scenes, so I can just go back and forth like this. Right now, though, if I go back to the Zoom monitor, it's black because I'm doing a screen share. So we have to remove the share of the screen if I want to return back to the other thing. We're going to have to figure out how that is. But
Yeah.
so far, so good. I'm kind of liking what this is. I think it looks pretty dope. So I hope that answers your question, Kevin. Great question. And I've always told my clients, like, you're always going to have opportunities in search because the immutable law of marketing that every niche subdivides into 2 niches, which is so clear to me. You have infinite keywords, and Google even says like every single month, 1 to 30%, and really closer to 30% of searches are brand new, never been seen. And for instance, like just happened this last 2 weeks, Fortnite 2 drops. I really don't think people were creating a lot of content on Fortnite 2 for the last 3 years. I think now that it's out, it's created a whole new plethora of keywords, whether it's Fortnite 2 advertising, Fortnite 2 strategy, Fortnite 2 communities. Like there's an infinite new way. And you can, and if you want to be a niche business, you need to target one of these primary keywords. And now Fortnite 2 may be too small, but when it comes to keyword strategy, you always want to have at least 1 or 2 primary keywords. For me, it's digital marketing, full stack marketing, digital nomad, perhaps remote work. those are really hard keywords to rank for, but those are just your primary C keywords. We're going to create a plethora of sort of long tail keywords such as best way to become a remote worker, best way to become a digital nomad, 5 tools for digital marketers, things
Hmm.
like this. They're just endless. So I really believe there's such a logical understanding to sort of these traffic opportunities that exist in search, right? So I always like to say, and someone said that this is the big thing they took away from my course, and it's simply that there's only really two things to think about: traffic and conversions. If we can get people to come to our site, traffic, there is an opportunity to convert, right? And so when you see this logic here, I just am so surprised that people don't act more on this. That, if search is around, and it is, I can start creating content. It doesn't even need my face. It doesn't even need to be special. It just depends on how competitive it is, which demands the quality level. If I can start creating some content, then I can get traffic. And if I can get traffic, I can get conversions, because it's very rare that you're going to get a 0% conversion rate. It is true, like if you have an absolutely garbage website, you might get 0%. But if you even put the remote amount, for instance, if you go download my 12-point checklist, richaniche.com, you can follow that 12-point checklist, build a proper funnel, and I guarantee you have greater than zero conversion rate. I just guarantee it. It doesn't matter, even if it's nothing. And the point I want people to see right here is like, well, even if you try this once and you only make $1, that should validate the entire concept that using search engines like YouTube and Google, which means I need a video strategy and I need an article strategy, and it could be as simple as transcribing your videos into an article, which we call Content Maximizer. It's as easy as that, as starting to build out a brand systematically, because these days brand is such a vague term. For so many, it's a Shopify website, drop shipping, it's e-commerce, it's having a single niche product. And it's just, if you can get awareness about that product through creating content, and you can provide some level of funnel and conversion optimization. So that's really what I want to start here is I want to talk about all the places we can get traffic, and I want to talk about all the places we can make conversions. And I want people just to see that if you get your mind, pick your niche, okay? Pick a niche. Start with picking a niche. What do you care about? Like, don't think about getting rich. Like, think about just something that like makes you happy, and you want to start something. Like, how could you get traffic for your niche? Well, I can make videos for YouTube. That's the first obvious one. I can write articles. Why is it so simple as this? Because it doesn't matter. You will be categorized by Google and YouTube if you create a title called, how to be a great, let's stick with Fortnite. How to be a great Fortnite 2 player. If you make a video like that, and someone goes and searches how to get good at Fortnite, how to be great at Fortnite, how to be the best at Fortnite, you will be ranked somewhere. The question is not where will you be ranked at first. It's the fact that you can just put your video into culture, that the people across the world can see your video. That is what's so absurd about this whole thing. That concept is what created all of this. It's when you realize, holy crap, I can be ranked. Then the question is, how do I get ranked high? And that's where we're going to go after this. Maybe we won't go that deep, but I want to keep going here. And Zach, feel free to shout out if you have any ideas, and then I'm going to jump into the questions in a bit. But I really want to just finish this out first. Like, how can we get traffic to our website? What can we do?
I think that's such an incredibly loaded question that a lot of folks within the collective, or people, a lot of our friends and colleagues that we are all in similar spheres, is we've all been able to generate traffic in different ways, right? All of us, it's actually nice to know this, and this is why I kind of wish when we have more folks on here, people can talk about how they actually go about generating traffic. The nice thing is that all of us have an intuitive sense as to how that works, because not only do we spend time on the internet, but we're all active content creators and YouTubers, right? Um, you know, I think to expand on what Rich is talking about here, it's funny how unfortunately because of our world, picking a niche may be the most difficult thing for a lot of people. But one thing that I also like to talk about a lot is the process, right? And this is where I think you and Gary Vaynerchuk may meet in the middle, which is if you don't really know what your niche is, you can always remain authentic, and you can talk about the difficulty of finding a niche, right? Which weirdly enough, in this whole I do this for this to create this type world that we live in, whether it's a service based industry or whatnot, in the process of doing that, you may even find something about yourself that you can help others with because that is a challenge. And how often have we always, been stuck in a spot where we're not really actively creating because, well, I haven't found a niche, right? I haven't figured out what to talk about. And even a question like, "What do you like to do?" sometimes is not good enough for people. I gotta say, like, in this online internet world, that was my hardest thing. There were a lot of things I love doing, but your analysis paralysis comes in the fact that it's like, well, there's this like worry of like, I got to commit to this idea if I pick it, and that is a tough thing for entrepreneurs. Believe me, it's sometimes people think, well, it's not about the scaling and the processes. It's people who can't seem to settle on one thing, and I can say this from firsthand experience. Entrepreneurs, even at the 8-figure level, are still struggling with what's the mission statement, what's the niche, right? They're making tons of money, but they make a lot of reactive changes. Why? Because they don't go back to this, right? So, anyways, to kind of tie this all together, authenticity, I think, is that sort of other end of the stick, right? When people feel like they haven't found a story, haven't found a niche, a thing that they like, or a thing that they even feel like they can get value from. But, you know, and this is me coming from my personal experience with YouTube, in that I just made whatever video I felt like making and just remained authentic, right? My voice became my niche. My way of making videos, old school style, with no cuts, no edits, no titles, became the niche, or it became the definitive thing that people went and consumed, and they came to me for that, right? They were searching for that, they were looking for that, and the feedback will always be evident. Your audience will always tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. If you see a lot of comments where they're like, I love just kind of putting it on and listening to a 15-minute video of you talking all the way through with no issues, no interruptions, that's great feedback. And people sometimes forget that YouTube is so powerful because sometimes comments, although you shouldn't always take them all to heart, they serve as great free methods of feedback.
I absolutely agree, man. There's so
Yeah.
much amazing feedback in YouTube comments, and connecting with people and just feeling like it's a real relationship, at least somewhat. Just replying back, powerful, tactical, but like you said, authentic thing to do. I completely agree with everything you said. Those are all powerful mindset and principles about becoming a content creator. But I also want to keep it as simple as, what if you already have a business and you don't know how to grow it? I mean, you're kind of talking about going down that content creator path where you want to find yourself. You might even want to become an influencer or some capability of that. Like, you believe you are the story, and that's awesome. I love that one. I would love to be that at some point. I think that's one of the most powerful and abundant lifestyles to live. But I also want to suggest that if you don't have anything going on in your life, like, it's as like, my first blog was about Twitch live streaming, and I don't even stream anymore, but that site still makes money. It's like, you can still do this as project based. You can still do this as a learning activity. And I just want to suggest that, like, yes, that is a very powerful way to go down. But there's a lot of people who may have a client, maybe want to get a client, and they need to understand that this is almost a systematic thing as well. I believe what you're talking about is enhancing brand, enhancing reputation, building stronger, longer term relationships. But as well, in digital marketing, we have to recognize that some transactions happened in 5 minutes or less. Literally this morning, I saw an Instagram ad for an Indiegogo. It was on sale, 50% off. I was literally going to the bathroom. I started filling in my address. I finished the bathroom. I went and got my credit card, and I had purchased. I'd never heard of this company. I'd never seen this product. I went from awareness, consideration to action within 5 minutes. Has nothing to do with authenticity. You were definitely talking about one aspect of this, but what I'm kind of getting at is this understanding that I can get people's attention, and once I have their attention, how can I convert them? And I that's why we have to keep this in that lens as well. Not to say what you said is wrong by any means, but I think like, there is some really strong things to learn here. That look, if you want free traffic, you can make videos on YouTube, you can write articles for Google, you can do Pinterest, you can put Medium articles, you can put stuff on Instagram, Facebook page, LinkedIn, Twitter. Anything that has a link could be free traffic. So you give something of value, you give them free content. Hey, want to continue reading? Click here. Hey, want to learn more? Click here. And then there's also paid traffic, Facebook ads, YouTube ad, Google AdWords, LinkedIn ads. Every platform is going to have some form of paid traffic. And what does that mean, right? Like all those things are going to be, a source of traffic, and it's going to lead people into our website, right? So let's say I build our website. I'm going to put a box here. Let's say this is like a landing page, okay? What are the different things now we can systematically do to improve that? Let's say it's like a 0% conversion rate. Let's say you start with nothing. You don't even know what you're doing in digital marketing. Like if you understand that, okay, how do I get a conversion and what is a conversion? It's a sale. Here's someone on my landing page. All I write is buy now. And that's it. They literally come there and that's all it is. They don't see anything else. They don't even know what they're buying. Obviously that's a bad experience, right? Like there's so much more you could do. And I don't really have the room necessarily here at first. Maybe I'll try it after, but let's just start, listing all the powerful things you could potentially do on your website that would immediately improve that conversion. And obviously the first one is quality branding. Like if everything looks good, that is going to be something that puts you ahead of the game. Great copywriting that speaks to the audience. Right? If I'm 50 years old and I try to sell and I come to a website and it's selling me like one of those booster boards, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not interested. But what if it said, buy this for your kid? It's the #1 Christmas present. All of a sudden, I've completely changed how the consumer may perceive the product because I spoke to their needs, right? So copywriting is so critical. This is a weird one, but email capture, even though it may potentially interrupt the sale, so often the sale doesn't happen on the first engagement. So capturing their email and then sending them back to the website's going to be very powerful. And that's obviously going to be having a lead magnet and, also some email autoresponder. These are all found in the 12-point checklist. And I don't need to go much further. I think I've already proved my point. When you understand that search exists, you want to create content that generates traffic. I explained how to do that here. And once you get that traffic, you have to understand that you're playing a game of conversion and trying to beat 0%. Now, what's very interesting about this? What if my conversion rate is 1%? What does that really mean? All it means is that 1 out of every 100 users I send from traffic, I get a sale. So doesn't that mean logically that if I send 10,000 people, I might get 100 sales? It absolutely means that once we reach a point of confidence, because the only thing that could defeat that argument is like, well, maybe there's only 100 people maybe there's only one person in the world who wants to buy it. And if you send 10,000 other people, they actually don't care. That could be true. But the whole point of digital marketing is getting confidence on your statistics and your analytics. Because if you can say, hey, we're getting 1% conversion ratio over the last 6 months, no matter where the traffic comes from, and that's great. That's a general conversion rate, and that could very well mean that if you 10x your traffic, you could 10x your sales. And there's a lot of things you could do along the way to even reduce that cost of acquisition. And that really comes into branding. So branding reduces the cost of acquisition. For instance, I'm Nike, and I don't want to use Nike actually. I'm the Food Network, And I've just hired the 5 best chefs to come on and create a show. I'm going to increase my brand equity by bringing people in that make me look better. And now I can go sell my show to other advertisers. So by increasing branding, I may be able to convince people. Like, that's a bit of a weird one. Let me use Nike. It's okay. Let's say I'm Nike and I hire Tiger Woods. I'm spending millions of dollars. What am I doing? I'm increasing my brand. And therefore, when Rich goes into Golf Town and he's looking at which golf hat to buy, he just might pick the Nike one because of that brand quality of having Tiger Woods. So that's where branding meets digital marketing and enhances this all. It helps us as we scale, because if we scale, what can actually happen is the audience kind of dwindles out. The traffic gets weaker and weaker. And I'm not going to go into all the details of that today, but I just really wanted to prove today, how simple digital marketing can really be. And if you use the checklist and you build your proper funnel, you're going to increase conversion rates. Let me jump into some questions now. I'm going to go back into, I'm going to stop the share and we'll go back into the other screen, full screen. Question. It seems like that you need to have really killer insights to create good content and answer real questions. Obviously, that helps. But that is a limited perspective, and that comes from YouTube, because so much content in YouTube is like that. But there is infinite amount of style of content that you could create that would allow you to reach the audience, simply because very few other people are competing on long tail keywords. What's long tail keyword? It is basically the opposite of a primary keyword in that it's extremely long. So red shoes would be a primary keyword, but women's size 9.5 red shoes on sale would be a long tail keyword. And so long tail keywords keep coming up, new ones every day. That's where we can put a lot of variable content. And when there's less competition, you don't need that high of quality because you're not a commodity, right? In the current demographic of YouTube, there's so many people who will teach you how to make money. So you need branding to go above and beyond, because that information is a commodity. There's so many things that are like that. Vegan recipes, a lot of them are out there already. But if you want to be the top, you need to have the perfect thumbnail, great production, the best editing. This is branding increasing, right? So I would say that you don't have to be an insightful person to create content. Do you know how much content out there is people taking Reddit posts and literally putting them into like Google Translate, and like they have the robot reading it over a black screen? Like, that's as basic as content gets. And as long as you optimize your titles, you could rank. Now, does that mean you'll stay rank 1 forever? No, because someone may see you have a lot of views on your video and like, I can make a better video, and they likely will get ranked better than you over time. So there is this constant effort need to be applied, but it doesn't mean that very small niche opportunities don't exist. Should content be done in-house because the time invested is way too much? Yes, a lot of content should be done in-house, and the content should be sent to the video editing more so. Don't shoot with a producer. Shoot in-house, keep it simple, and send your editor. Don't pay them too much. There's tons of editors out there. Get them to edit the video, get them to transcribe it, get them to output a 60-second Facebook clip, like whatever is desirable for you. That's the best way to do it. But I do think editing is so time consuming, it can be outsourced. Someone just told me yesterday that in Serbia, there's tons of filmmakers there that love making film that are happy to edit for $10 an hour because the average monthly salary is $400. Don't assume what other people need to earn. Like, let them be happy, give them opportunities. I can tell you that more people would love to have American or Canadian clients be remote in Serbia making $400 to $700 a month than they would doing a job they don't necessarily like, or they may make that $400 but they really don't like it. Like, let people enjoy their job. If they want to quit, they can quit. There's a ways to keep them. Obviously you can give people raises if they do a good job, but I'm learning more and more that you have to appreciate that some people just want to live where they want to live, and there may be lifestyles that are very cost effective there. This is a mindset roadblock, but recently I've been struggling with creating YouTube content for my product. Any tips how to overcome other than just block out time and plowing through? One thing you can do instead of, say, creating a schedule is actually create a system where it says brainstorm, write, practice, shoot, edit, upload. And when you finish that, you start again. And that's it. And when you feel like doing it, you just keep looping through. You don't have to be like, I must upload 3 times a week, because a lot of times we don't realize how hard it is to create consistent content. I find it very hard. I use a video editor, which I pay for on a monthly salary. So, I'm making that investment because I think it's important. Doesn't mean you can't do it by yourself. But, and that's why I like your method, Zach, because it's almost edit free. Like, you get your message out there. How do you overcome this resistance? I think it's realizing that you have to start the snowball. Like, of course it's going to be like a little snowflake to start, but you have to give your future self the opportunity, because you have to remember, this YouTube channel that people are watching on right now is almost 10 years old. I didn't use this channel for so long. This is my personal channel to start with, but I just put 1 or 2 key videos that ultimately got people's attention, and now I'm here trying to create on top of it. So if I had have never done that first video, I wouldn't get here. And don't forget, like, this channel used to be for my Twitch blog. That generated a lot of the initial subs. I guess it can be tough trying to get that first 100 subs, but what's more satisfying than growing a new channel and recognizing that you can do it? And Kevin, I think in your specific situation, you should absolutely be realizing that this is your chance to sort of hone in on a niche, because your other channel is so personal brand focused and has a more variety. Like, give yourself a chance. And hey, if it doesn't work out, maybe at least then you will appreciate your other channel more. What do you think about all that, Zach?
I think that's absolutely clutch, because there's something about the creating the YouTube content for a particular offer that you're running. And I think the resistance isn't so much like a resistance to create content, but cognitive dissonance, because refugee hustle, Kevin, may exist as an entity already within itself that is very different from a business offer, a high ticket offer where you teach people more about financial literacy or investing in long term capital gains. Things like that seem like they're very different from the Kevin Yee daily vlogs and jujitsu and high ticket closing. And that I think, Kevin, what you're running into would be what I would run into if I started all of a sudden doing more sales and DMA related stuff on my existing channel. It would just be such a interruption, right, of what people expect from me. And I think that can be a unconscious mental hold. There's something about a clean slate about a YouTube channel, because here's the thing, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you said was true about 10 years of your channel. I've started probably about 5 or 10 YouTube channels in the
Mm-hmm.
past 10 to 12 years. I've been on YouTube for as long as YouTube has existed. I was
Mm-hmm.
10
Yeah.
or 12 when it first launched, and have had many YouTube channels, but only the one that I'm using under my name right now actually, broke 100, broke
Mm-hmm.
1,000, broke 10,000 subscribers. And there's something about starting over, because it would be like, I'm only going to put stuff on my channel because I want the traffic,
Mm-hmm.
but putting something on something that was intended for, I don't think necessarily would create resistance. Because I don't think Kevin, I don't think you struggle with creating content at all. I don't think it's content resistance. I think it's how much time of this channel, of my audience, do I want to partition towards kick-ass investing versus my personal brand. And I could be completely wrong here. I mean, you could correct me on this later, but that's what would be my initial thing. I think it's just have a new channel with a new mission statement, because then it kind
Yeah.
of starts that snowball.
You know what I would do, Kevin, is I would niche down even further with your keywords. I would go for some real wins right away, try to get some comments, get people active, and I would also do a video on your existing channel and bring some people over. Like, you can't invite them over until there's something interesting. Like, maybe you should now go take your lead magnet course, chop those videos up in some other way and upload those videos, because those are already free anyways. Let people have them for free on YouTube. You already created the content, and then maybe they can still go join for free. Like, they just have it in a container with the downloadable PDF. So your lead magnet offer becomes more of the checklist, the PDF, and as well the mini course that you've created. Okay, next question comes from Mega Grace is cool. What can a college student with hardly any experience in this do to stand out on a job application? I've run a blog for a year now, but I haven't really dipped into DM until last month. So you're in college, you have work to do. You know what I would do? let's see, you already have a blog. That's good. That's step one. I mean, having social channels can be beneficial, but I think that, one of the more critical things is to potentially not go for a job right now. It might actually be to go to an internship and to go reach out to someone like me or someone who has a smaller agency and say, hey, can I work for free for a month? Give me 5 things to do, let me do them, show me what I did wrong, and then let me get a reference out of this and let me work until I make it right and let me prove that I can actually do this. Because maybe you don't even like it. You're in college. Like, why don't you test it first? And why don't you get someone who's willing to let you try some different things? Produce some content, write some copy, maybe some email, maybe a web design, maybe some blog articles. Those are valuable to me and to many other agencies. And there's a lot of people who are willing to take on an intern for a short term. And that's what I would do. And if you don't feel ready for a job application, like, maybe you're better off just doing the internship while you're in college because you don't have that much time. Now, if you need money, go do that internship and then ask for a job. Say, hey, I can do this work. Why don't you just start paying me? Like, I'll start part-time, like pay me per hour, pay me per deliverable. I think maybe that might be better because I really believe that the digital marketing world asks us to be a little bit more entrepreneurial, asks us to take a few more chances, reach out to people, start, it's you don't realize how many people have reached out to me and I've just given them so much just because I want people to succeed. And it doesn't take a lot of advice to get someone going, and I believe like you just need more guidance, and maybe that will help a little bit more. What could you do though if that isn't the answer you want? I mean, start another blog, prove that you can get traffic, prove that you can convert. So remember when I talked about just a while ago that it's all about traffic and conversions? If I want to see value from you, I need to know you know how to produce traffic. The things I just shared earlier, you should already know in your head. Where are the traffic sources? And how do you convert from 0% up to 1, 2, 3, maybe 5%? You don't get much higher than that generally in a buy conversion, but those are the things I need to know. And so if you want to be a conversion rate expert, well, you could be a branding expert. You could be a copy expert. You could be a UX developer. There's a lot of different ways to bring conversion value to business owners. When will you start your course? Good question. Well, let's talk about that. Probably January or the end of December. I've had so much work to do, which is more important to me right now. I need to have more cash flow coming in before I can give too much away. I have an interesting life situation, which I don't want to reveal everything about right now, but cash flow is the most important thing to me, and cash flow is important for every business. I have a business to run, and building a course is absolutely something that I care about, and I want to do it. But right now, it's having very difficult time to get priority number one on my schedule. But I just finished the biggest thing of the year. It was a 5-day on-stage keynote platform close. It was very successful, but up until the last 3 months, I've been doing so much work for that project. We ended up making over $50,000 after one platform speech. Pretty good for my client, his first platform close. Really excited for him to make that much money in a single day. And, he's paid me a lot of money in the last year, and I'm really glad that it paid off. We're now in the green because platform closing is one of the most effective ways to actually convert people because they're right there. They can feel your energy so much better. And that's why I think things like doing this, being live, is very important for me to get better at and practice, because this is the one step down. Thank you so much for the advice. I'll get right on it. Absolutely. Send me an email, rich@richaniche.com. I'll give you something to do. I need interns. I need email marketing intern. I need social media intern. And I need more than that. So just come in. And what will be its fee? I have not ultimately decided, but there's going to be 3 tiers. There's going to be a tier where you can do it all by yourself. And I give you all the information. You just work through it step by step. Could be between 500 to 800, could be 1,000, could be 250. I don't know yet. I honestly don't know until I look at the final value and what else I can supplement with that. It'll be affordable though. Then there'll be a group coaching program where everybody can come together in a Zoom call and ask questions and learn week by week all the different modules and go much deeper than you can go on your own. This is most likely what most people should take, and I think it's going to be probably priced between 900 and 1500. Probably 997. That's what I'm feeling. Maybe 1197, something like that. And then there's going to be my one-on-one personal coaching where I'll have a one-on-one call with you every single week, and I'll answer any questions you need to help you become a freelance digital marketer, full stack, if that's what you desire. I'll help you answer any questions about software, getting clients. You can come into these collective calls, and that's the fourth thing that you need to know that I'm also offering. If all of that sounds too expensive to you, I'm going to be running a weekly call just like this where you can come into the Zoom like Zach is now. You can come on screen if you want, or you can ask your question in the chat and I'll answer you week by week. So maybe you don't need my course. Maybe you've taken 5 courses already, but you just don't understand Facebook remarketing, or maybe you don't understand the YouTube upload procedure. We can talk about that specifically, and you could make a request from that, and we could get to that question during our collective calls. So the collective is going to be priced somewhere between $20 and $50 probably to start, and it will increase over time. That'll be a monthly fee. So it's just a small amount. Buy me a coffee per week and come hang out, answer any question you need. Super, super valuable. How many hours in a day do you work? Well, the truth is I work a lot because there's so much opportunity right now. I have so many people asking for my help. I do push myself a lot. It's very common that I'll start work at 8 a.m., if not 7 a.m., and I'll work all the way until dinner time, 7 p.m. And then after dinner, I often jump on fun projects, pro bono projects, personal projects in the night, because this is all I want to do, guys. And when you master this skill, you can do so much for yourself, for your friends, for your clients, for your own personal brands. Just like Gary Vaynerchuk says, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm not building this business to sell. I'm building a machine where we can build brands with ease. We can help influencers grow with ease. We can help companies reach powerful revenue goals with ease because we have the collective group, we have the team, we have the closing, we have the branding, we have the marketing. To me, this is just something so logical to do right now in 2019 going into 2020, is to build this concept. So I work a lot, but today, my wife wanted to go mushroom foraging, so we went out to the forest for an hour and we just hung out for a bit. And what's the secrets of your focus and energy? I don't have anything to say about that. I'm not that good at focus and I'm not that good at energy. I naturally have very low energy. People say, like, if you go around other people and you lose energy, you're introverted, which is me. I prefer not to be around others as much as I prefer to be alone and working. I don't think I'm an introvert though, but I'm just not that great at energy. Zach, do you have anything that you've learned from some of your programs or from yourself about focus and energy?
Secret of focus and energy, man. Well, we all procrastinate. I'm a chronic one. I'm actually that's my natural state, right? But I would say that just like with anybody whom I bring on board as a client or I close into a particular program, I think the core of all focus is going to be your goals, your why, really. Because if I had no goals and I had no why, I'd just be playing video games all day, every night. And really, that is the generalized answer I would give. I mean, focus, comes from being anchored to something, right? It's kind of like, when you have a target, it's almost like a gravitational pull. So your focus and the energy that compounds behind that, the action that you put behind that focus, is what ultimately gets you there. So I would say the secret of it is knowing why you're doing it, which is why I can understand why a lot of people sit in university and not have a lot of focus, because they don't know why they're there. It's always the reason why you're not focused is because there's also an unconscious question of why am I here and why am I doing this?
So true. It is all the why. I ask my clients
Why?
constantly why they're doing what they're doing, because if you don't have the awareness, like, you're going to quit. If you don't know why you do something, you won't last. I've just seen that time and time again. And if your why is not true to who you are, you're going to fail as well. And by fail, I mean you'll peter out, you'll kind of dissolve it. Like, the motivation often comes from that there's an opportunity. Like, I know there's an opportunity very clearly. I already see it. I already experience it. So to not keep doing it would be crazy to my mind. When you see something so clearly, it's like, hey, there's an opportunity here. We need to go now because this isn't going to last forever. No opportunity has ever lasted forever. So excellent answer on the why. Don't your mind get tired? Yes, my man. My mind does get tired, and so as soon as I'm done work, I immediately turn off my mind and I do something extremely simple. I often watch reruns of old shows that I've already seen. And why do I do that? So I don't actually have to pay attention, but something can fill the thought pattern. So I often watch Office, Friends. I've watched Breaking Bad a couple times. I actually don't get into new shows anymore very often. I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I watch shows that I've already seen, and that allows me to just I do stretching, I do yoga, I do foam roller, and I just watch it on a projector at night, and then I go to bed. Means you study, so you learn so much. How do you retain so much? So one of the most important things about being a digital marketer is creating a second brain. If you haven't gone to my YouTube channel yet, let me just go over there for a second. Zach, you're probably not going to see this one. You don't need to see it, though. I'm just going to go over to my channel and show people where are those videos. Go download the software called Notion. This software allows you to create a second brain. It's on my YouTube channel. It's these videos right here. There's a playlist right here. See, where does it say? Best productivity app, 5 reasons I switched, 5 ways to use Notion. Unlock your brain. I've basically explained that you need to keep all this information in a secondary place. I used to use Workflowy, then I used Evernote, and now I use Notion, which, by the way, and here's the thing, if you take my course, you're going to get my second brain. So you don't have to create your own. And that's going to be so valuable because then people, they don't even have to always remember everything. They can just look what's Rich's best practice. And I think that's valuable. From Kevin Yee, I think this would be interesting that you talked about on your retreat. Can you talk about how Starcraft 2 helped you with digital marketing? Oh, I can talk about how Starcraft 2 helped my entire life. So I've been a dedicated Starcraft 2 player for 10 years. I've played every single week for those 10 years, at least one game. Well, no, when I travel, I don't play. I didn't play all of last week. So at least once a quarter, I've never missed a game. I've never missed a season. I'm typically ranked Diamond Tier 1, which is probably 85th percentile, 88th percentile. I used to be a little bit better. It takes a lot of practice. So StarCraft 2 is a real-time strategy game. And it's basically, the concept is 2 opponents need to manage their resources, their army, and their technology. Very similar to life, right? Cash flow, development, personal development, and systems and software. And how do you apply that, not foregoing either one, and also looking what's your opponent doing, what is his context, what is his motivation, and how can we either counter it or maybe manipulate the amount of information they have. And that might be similar to negotiation. So StarCraft 2 is just such a principled game rooted in real strategy. And when you focus on a strategy game, you have to think hard very quickly. That's powerful real-time strategy. And so I think what it helped me do is make incredibly fast decisions. Every single game you're going to be making hundreds, if not thousands of little micro decisions, as well as your decision of what race am I going to play? What opening am I going to use, similar to chess? What build order was going to work for me given this map and this opponent? What attack route should I use given where he placed his base? What technology should I show him and should I not reveal? Because that's 2 different sides of the coin. If I show him my technology, he can react. What if I show him the wrong technology? That happens all the time. This is called developing sort of a meta game within a game. So every game, the 2 races face off and they always do this common GTO strategy. What is GTO? Game theory optimal. If I play this way and you play this way, I'm unexploitable. That's what game theory is. Now, exploitive theory means I know you always open with this move, so I'm going to already counter it to start. Look at how quickly in just the last 3 minutes I described so many aspects of life. Digital marketing represents life. We must get people's attention to communicate with them, and we must persuade them to take the actions we desire, because we're all in a game. We're all right now playing this game called life, and there are rules. And the rules currently exist within the internet, within political situations, within our communities, within how we earn money, how we pay taxes, how much does healthcare cost in this map versus this map. These are all variations of playing a game because you have to manage your money, you have to manage your health, and you have to manage how you grow in this world. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, even though I'm still doing the same stuff. What type of work, hey Caleb, what type of work would you in before you started digital marketing? Absolutely critical. Video production. I've produced every kind of video known to man. I've produced corporate video, and I've even produced some pornography. I've gone the full scale of understanding what kind of videos succeed in this world. I started off in film when I was very young, 13 years old. I just made random videos with my parents' video camera. And then I went into media studies in high school. I went into film production from 18 to 21. That's when my teacher was like, there's only one way to make money in TV, and that's pornography, in film. And I was like, oh, interesting. Let me keep that in mind. And he was right. There's a lot of money to be made in that niche. Someone hired me to edit some very young age, probably 23 or 24, and I was just like, oh, this is a very fascinating industry. I'm going to learn a lot here. And that really progressed in various ways, but it's all been about media creation. So I was just telling someone yesterday or 2 days ago, I've been making videos for 22 years, and I've been writing articles since 2003. I've worked with the mediums for so long that they feel so natural. I started understanding live streaming on Twitch many, many years ago, probably 8 years ago now, when I was getting more into Starcraft. I was thinking about becoming a streamer, but instead I went to law school. Let's add that on top. I got a law degree, and that was a very expensive mistake, but it did have some benefits. I gained extraordinary communication skills. I can learn, read, write faster than most people because law is so demanding. I can, writing is probably the most important thing, but negotiating and problem dispute resolution. After law school, it's not just about what work I did. I ended up getting into spirituality, philosophy, personal development. I read hundreds of books. And I think that really rounded me out. And to be honest, I'm a little lax on the learning these days because I feel like I spent so much time learning. I'm almost a professional student that I needed to kind of stop and go earn money. And that's what I've been doing for about 18 months. Was the transition difficult? No, my man, because I've gotten here by being me. That's it. I didn't force this into my life. I said to myself, this looks like something I'd be pretty good at. I'm good at making content. I can go learn how to convert people on websites, and that's what I did. I sucked at making good conversion rates before. I went through zero sales. In fact, when I was in law school, I created a digital product called Law School something. I don't want to list it because I don't want you to go find it. But basically, I created a program that would help you excel in law school because I was one of the most clever students. I had so many hacks. I was incorporating technology. I used a virtual assistant for some things during that time. I understood how to outsource. I outsourced my wedding from a virtual assistant. I was always dabbling in the things that were recommended by people like Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin. Some of these people now are less well known, but there were so many hacks back in the day, and I really am a hacker at the heart of it. I'm not afraid to tinker with things. I want to see how they work, and when you understand how things work, I think it's just so powerful when you can just consistently apply it for other people. And it was when I did my own projects that I could then promise others similar results if they were to be as committed financially or time-based as me. What got you into closing, Zach? And was there any transition for you, or did you experience a natural path from sort of communicating into this high level?
Oh man. So I think communication, like you said, and how digital marketing has basically played that role in your life. And it is in all facets of life when we look at that perspective. Closing was interesting because as people may know, a one Kevin Yee, who is definitely you've probably seen me in his channel. We're all kind of roped in the same circles here. Um, I started on YouTube, and YouTube was the perfect segue into content creation and then eventually closing. Because I think at the core of it, other than it being such a amazing way of being able to make money flexibly and location independent, It serves as quite literally, the basis of solving a problem for somebody and ultimately persuading people to really realize their desires, and I know people may have an odd stigma when it comes to sales and whatnot, but really at the end of the day, when people are making decisions of this magnitude, they are thinking through it, especially if they stick. It's like it's something that they want to do. But how I got into it is interesting because I was on a YouTube tirade for the past year and a half, making lots of videos, 3 or 4 a week. Um, as the because of me, I'm more politically oriented. For those of you who want to check out my stuff, it's probably going to be, if you're not from my audience, you'll see why. It's a little bit different. It's political commentary and social commentary that in fact today is not very very common, not actively encouraged. So uh Kevin Yee actually got me into closing. We got on a call, and I just basically, he closed me on the idea. I was like, this is great. It was very, very tough in the beginning because I was learning the ropes. But what got me into it, I think here's the thing, Rich. I probably would have quit a few times, but the why for me was not just the location independence and everything, but it was sort of the most important form, one of the most important forms of communication I could learn, which is basically being able to talk to somebody and go, if this is your issue and this is what you're dealing with, where are you currently at right now and where do you want to go? And let's come up with a solution. If it makes sense, I mean, there's going to be a fee involved. That's how I would make my money. But I'm doing nothing but solving problems and helping people realize their goals. Because people will not buy until they confess to you why they were excited about this in the first place. The reason why they're doing it is because they've held themselves accountable to a 6 month target. Incredible thing, right? To be able to
Mm-hmm.
say, you see yourself in this transformation in the next 3 to 6 months, whether you're a business owner or you're a college kid or somebody who wants to escape the 9 to 5 and do your own thing, right? It's such a great way of being able to communicate and make money and also solve problems for people. I look at closing as just helping people, so serving your clientele. Like it's not oh, I'm just going to bleed you for all your money, take your credit card and run off. I mean, if that were the case, that's what chargebacks are. We wouldn't make
Mm-hmm.
any money. So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of the short answer here. Just I love communication and I will continue to do that in all my different forms, whether it's videos and
Mm-hmm.
ranting and opinion and
I think both digital marketing and sales, they're similar coin, but maybe the opposite side. And I think that you're right. It's about helping people reach their goals. And for me, it's a similar thing. And it's communication. Digital marketing is simply digital communication, and it could be a video, it could be a live stream, but it could also be text. It could be a text message. That's still
yeah.
digital marketing potentially. And WeChat messages, Facebook messages, like these are communications that are creating a marketing experience. Everything is about experience, and I think I'd like to end this call with that. There's no more questions. Even solidifying my name, Rich UX, because my last name is just so difficult. UX, user experience, it's something that is so important in life, whether you're brick and mortar or digital, that you actually take the time to consider your end user's experience. And that could be everything from how long does the page take to load, what is the font, is it legible, is it easy to access other things, is buying straightforward, can I clearly see the money back guarantee before I buy, or do I have to go search some frequently asked questions? Like, are the right things, the right messages being displayed at the right time for the right people? And that's what a great user experience is actually recognizing that you, even within your own target demographic, you may have differentiating micro demographics. And we definitely have a lot more things these days, such as email segmentation, logic jump redirection within a form, meaning if you answer A, send question I. If you answer question B, send question X, whatever. Like, you can take people down different experiences. It's not just so simplistic of, it can be a basic web page, but I think we can also even ensure those basic web pages are high quality experiences, not just what we want, not just putting the information we think is there, but we go on our desktop, our iPad, our laptop, and our mobile phones, and we test the experiences thoroughly. This has been a very important part in me getting to a really professional stage, is that your landing pages, your copy, fonts, your videos, they're playing properly in every possible form, because we've got people who are at work who have desktop computers still. We've got people who are on the couch who have their laptops and iPads out. And then we've got people who mostly have their phones out all day long, transiting, bathroom, bed, whatever it is. People got their phones out. So probably you're going to want to create a mobile experience. You mentioned, here's a question from Caleb again. You mentioned $1 Million Consulting to help you learn skills in industry. Any other blogs and books you recommend? I'm going to do a whole nother stream and video on the books that I've really spent time with. Yeah, there are good books. If you're looking for motivation, I would check out FU Money by Dan Lok, and I would check about Be Obsessed or Be Averaged by Grant Cardone, as well as 10X. I think those are all motivational for me. If you want to get better at copywriting, I would check out Cash Advertising as well as Scientific Advertising. I would also go read the Gary Halpert sales letters. And if you want to learn copywriting, I would start by copying other people's copy with your handwritten words and ingrain it in your brain. If you want to learn about digital marketing, there really aren't any books, and it's the YouTube channels that you want to follow. You want to go follow what other people recommend, but you have to end up knowing it for yourself. You've got to go put it into action. You've got to go try it. And so that's why I think having something like this is a great place to come and sort of validate your ideas. I see the collective calls in the future as a place where we can share our work as marketers, as content creators, and get some reflection and feedback from others on whether it's good or not, because we can't really go posting our clients' work in public or on our own chats. We have to sort of keep it private. Who popped in? Is that you, Zach? You came in and out? Okay.
Yeah,
so
something happened on my end. That was weird.
Yeah, I don't really know, Caleb, if there's any other books. I would say follow the marketers that you really believe in on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter, and I would just be listening to what they think. I listened to the Gary Vaynerchuk podcast for about 2 years straight. I stopped listening because I think it's a bit repetitive now, but it was really helpful for me. There's lots of brilliant ideas in Gary V's content. And in fact, I'm so inspired by Gary V. That's also part of my name, Rich. A lot of people called me Rick before when I was younger, but I hated how much Gary V is always picking on the Rick in his content. I say, I don't want to be called that anymore. And I also thought, my last name starts with U. It's very similar to V, and I was really happy because I feel like I'm just a bit younger than Gary V. I got about 9 years on him. At 34, he just left his dad's winery and started VaynerMedia. And just when I was 34, I started my agency, richanish.com. And so it's pretty cool that my idol, I feel like I can hopefully catch up one day, maybe in 10 years. But I'm not in a rush. I feel really grateful for where I am today and everything that I've been able to accomplish so far. And I just feel like in a really great place to start helping others, because I think it takes time before you have that mastery. Like someone said earlier, how do you retain all of this in your mind? I don't have notes. I just kind of, you've done it so many times. Guys, you got to realize I'm getting to the point where I've probably produced almost 1,000 videos. I've probably built 100 websites. I've written copy every other day for over a year now. I've written email copy, website copy, blog copy. I've written articles. I've done images in Photoshop. I've edited photos in Lightroom. So I'm really pushing myself to master all 4 mediums and to master every single platform. You don't want to think about traffic and conversions? You can think about it another way. Master the 4 mediums: text, audio, image, and video. Study them, understand what makes good content, model after others, but create your own style. And then go master all the key platforms. Just simply go to Moz.com, or not Moz, Alexa.com. Look at the top websites. I can tell you right now, it's Google, YouTube, Facebook. You have to understand what are the most popular websites. And if you can understand the mediums and you can understand how to use the platforms, you will get the same results that I was talking about for traffic. Tushar Sakra says, I want to start my career in digital, but I have no idea where to start. You start by making your first website. It's as simple as that. It's what I did for a very long time. It doesn't matter if you're going to get into Facebook ads. It doesn't matter if you're going to become a YouTube content creator. It doesn't matter if you're going to be an email marketer or a copywriter. until you understand that we're dealing with a digital medium that transverses itself over landing pages, web pages, www stuff, like that's still a critical part of society. You still buy your stuff on Amazon.com. You still buy your stuff on a .com, right? As much as we have these apps, there's so much being purchased on .coms. We can't ignore that. So you need to understand how to create a WordPress website. There are free ones, but I would recommend, getting some hosting. Namecheap.com, richandniche.com/namecheap if you want a discount code, I think. And if you get your own hosting, maybe $20 a month, start building WordPress sites and get a theme, try to design it, and try and get some traffic. So that's why starting a blog is like one of the best things to do to start, because you're going to get some traffic. Like it's going to start trickling in the more articles you write. So one great thing I would do, Tushar, is maybe your community needs a blog, maybe your niche needs a blog. Start writing for other people's needs. So I started writing articles on how to be a good Twitch streamer. If you go to twitchmeta.com, I created one of the most popular blogs on Twitch streaming like 6 years ago. I stopped writing for it. There is a funnel there. You can buy stuff there, but I don't really care about it. I was just learning. It wasn't a business. It was just trying it. But at one point, I had 10,000 users coming every single month. After you stop writing content, though, traffic will start going down because Google wants fresh, new, great content. And yeah, let's see what else people are saying. You're going to pop in next week? Great. Can you make this live stream available in the future? Absolutely. It'll be on the channel. It should be uploaded right after. Please watch it again. Rich and Niche doesn't have the same ring as what? Breakthrough advertising or... Oh, Rick and Niche. Hilarious, bro. You're so funny. That's so true. Yeah, that's very funny, my man. My real name's Richard, so I don't know why, but people in school called me Rick because I guess Richard was like too long. They thought that was a better short name. No one ever called me Rich, though. And I thought, you know what? Why not be rich? Why not be a remote income creative hustler? That's what I always say. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Zach, thank you so much for joining this live stream. It means so much to me that you joined today. Any last words before we hop off here?
No, thank you for having me, Rich. This was very productive. I got a lot out of it, was learning, and I actually am looking forward to these future live streams. I will block off time as needed to be very, very participatory in this. And yeah, getting this on a rotating, recurring schedule is going to be important. There's some people that are interested. So
totally. Yeah. And we did this one without any promotion. Next week, I'll make a mention of it on my social, and I'll probably put an email out, see if we can get a few more people in. But there's plenty of questions. So shout out to Caleb, Tushar, Kevin Yee, Ann Keat, Mega Grace. Thank you guys. Alex Y for joining the chat today, and many others who probably were just lurking, something I like to do myself. But that is the end of this stream, guys. Check out my website, richandniche.com. Follow me on all the major channels. I'm out there. I'm giving the info, and I'm going to help you guys become incredible full-stack digital marketers. I won't stop until I complete that mission. And that's really what everything I'm doing is geared towards, just helping others reach their destiny, because digital marketing is absolutely something that can unlock your greatest potential. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you like this, subscribe, leave a comment. If you have other things to say, I'll try and reply them. I try to reply 99% of comments, so I'm always there answering your questions, guys.